You know, being a tattoo artist while locked up certainly comes with a lot of risk. Forget the fact that if you're caught, you're going to get in trouble, lose good time, go to the hole, maybe even be fined as well. Yes, while locked up, if you catch a charge, you can be fined for that, just like if you were going to regular court. But add to that all the risk and pressure that comes from tattooing guys who are locked up. Some of those guys potentially being bigger, badder, more scary prisoners than yours truly here. And if you do decide to tattoo prisoners like those that I just mentioned, and something goes wrong with that tattoo, well, that is definitely gonna fall on you, the guy doing that tattoo, no matter what the circumstances may be. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you a prison story about a time when I did a tattoo that ended up getting messed up on a guy that I really wish this tattoo wouldn't have ended up messed up on. And I had to fight this guy because of that. Now, this story takes place back in 2012. At this point, I had already been locked up for 2009, 2010. Probably for something like close to 4 years at this point. I had already served 2 years in the jail waiting to get my time and go to prison, where in the jail I was tattooing pretty much 24/7 anyone who would be willing to get a tattoo. I had already been to my first prison, a receiving unit that housed prisoners from level 1 to 5. And getting to this prison, I was damn near extorted to do tattoo work. In fact, I pretty much tattooed to survive while at that prison. From there, I was transferred to a level 1 prison where I served 10 months and was doing all sorts of tattoo work there until I got in trouble, ran my level up to a level 2, and ended up at my third prison during the 7 years that I served, and that prison being the prison where this story takes place at. I had probably been at this prison, a prison called Haynesville, for probably something like 6 months at this point. And when I first got here, I was very slow to get into the tattoo groove of things. There was already 2 guys in the housing unit with me who were tattooing as well. So when a new prisoner comes into a housing unit who also tattoos, he's kind of got to wait his turn, try not to step on any of the toes of the other tattoo artists in there. You don't really want to be taking business from those guys. And if you tattoo, you're kind of just waiting for them to be like, hey, look, you want to do this tattoo right here? I really don't want to do this. And that's sort of how you get your foot in the door when you're going to a new prison, a new housing unit as a tattoo artist, and there's already other tattoo artists who are established there. Well, it's mentioning all of that that's pretty much exactly how I ended up doing this tattoo that got messed up on this guy that I really didn't want to mess a tattoo up on. And this led to a bunch of problems for me afterwards. But what ended up happening was, as one of these 2 tattoo artists, the guy nicknamed Frog, comes up to me and says, hey man, I know you really want to get your foot in the door with some tattooing in this housing unit. I've got just the guy that you can tattoo. In fact, this is a guy that I definitely don't want to tattoo. So if you want, you can do this tattoo. Now, when a tattoo artist comes up to you in prison and says, hey, I've got a tattoo piece you can do because I don't want to mess with this guy, you have to automatically assume that there's going to be some level of bullshit with this individual who's wanting a tattoo that this other tattoo artist is giving you the opportunity to actually tattoo. And me being pretty much flat broke at this point, I'd been at this prison again for like 6 months. I did have a prison job where I was working in the kitchen, but I really wasn't making any money at all. I think I was making something like $25, maybe $30 a month. So with all of that, I absolutely jumped at this opportunity. I'll do the tattoo. Who is he? Where is he? Can I do the tattoo right now? Frog probably tells me something along the lines like, whoa, pump the brakes a little bit, Joe. You may not be so excited when you find out who this prisoner is who wants this tattoo. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as he tells me who this prisoner is who does want this tattoo, he was absolutely right. I completely wasn't all that excited about this at all. In fact, when he told me who this prisoner was, red flags immediately went up. Like, Joe, you probably really should approach this situation with some extreme caution. And one of the main reasons being is because this guy was a pretty active gang member type of prisoner at this prison. Now, you know, it's usually a pretty good rule of thumb to trust your gut instinct, whether in prison or whether in life in general. Because a lot of times when your gut is telling you something, you should probably listen to what it's saying. And I have to emphasize that my gut was definitely telling me, Joe, you might want to just not do this tattoo. Maybe you ought to just let this one slip past you and, wait for the next one to come about. But for whatever reason, I completely disregarded what my gut was telling me. Maybe that's because my gut's pretty close to my stomach. And at this point, again, being broke, again, really not making any money at this prison, I was pretty damn hungry. So maybe I was thinking that this would be a good opportunity if everything goes okay to get my name out there. People will see the work that I'm doing. Granted, I'm not the greatest damn tattoo artist or the strongest artist in general, but I was confident enough in my ability to do pretty decent prison tattoo work. I end up approaching this guy who wanted this tattoo work, again, this gang member prisoner dude nicknamed Roscoe. And I really don't know why they called this guy Roscoe. All I know is I probably will never forget this guy. But I go up to Roscoe and I say, hey man, I'm Joe, the new guy. Been here for about 6 months now, and what you probably didn't know, because I haven't been doing any work around here, is the fact that I'm a tattoo artist as well. What you trying to get, man? Because Frog done told me you're in the market for some fresh prison tattoo work. And by the way, I need to throw this out there. I'm quite sure I didn't go up to him as enthusiastic as that, because had I done so, he probably would have thought I was some sort of snitch prisoner wearing a wire. Hey boy, you wearing a wire? Dude, I'm just trying to do some tattoo work. That's all. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it wasn't exactly that enthusiastic. But Roscoe goes on to tell me that Frog had already told him about me and the fact that I was a tattoo artist. He definitely questioned if I was any good or not, asked me if I had any work that he could see. I said I didn't. I didn't even really have any drawings at this point either of tattoos that I had done or could do, because here's something else crazy to throw into this. I had just been shipped to this prison 6 months ago for running my level up to a level 2 from a level 1. Part of that reason being for tattooing. So tattooing was already on my record. The investigators already know me as a known tattoo artist in the prison, and I'm basically on like a hot list. So they could come and search me at any time, and if they were to find any sort of drawings in my possession that looked like tattoo work, they could then charge me for being in possession of tattoo paraphernalia for some drawings. So I basically told Roscoe everything that I've just told all of you. And I asked him at that point, I said, but what are you trying to get done? What kind of tattoo are you looking for? And he goes on to tell me how he's looking for this piece on his arm, basically a quarter sleeve piece. And he wants it to have playing cards, dice, bags of money. And he also went on to tell me how he wanted some words inside of this tattoo in a banner that said a hustler's ambition. Yeah, so nothing too complicated about that tattoo. I mean, it's not exactly like you want your girl's name on you or maybe a little cross. Yeah, you pretty much want an entire quarter sleeve. And this is a tattoo that's not only going to be big, but it's also going to take some time to do this. But again, old Joe being so hungry to get it inside of this prison to really put my name out there as the new tattoo artist on the block, I tell this guy, yeah, sure, I can do this tattoo for you. I'm going to go draw it up, and I'm going to charge you a whopping $30. We agree on the price, and then I go start to draw this tattoo up. It takes me about 2 days to draw it up. I get it completed. I show it to Roscoe. Roscoe likes it, and we're ready to move forward with this tattoo. I tell Roscoe, I say, hey, look, I'm going to give you a list of commissary items that I want that equal $30. You order those items for me, and you ain't even got to pay me until we're done with the tattoo. Again, this is my first tattoo at this prison. I kind of got to go out on a limb here to really show that, one, I can do work because there's no other work of mine at this prison. And two, I'm the new guy at this prison trying to get in where I fit in with this tattoo work. We wait for the right guards to be on. That way we've got the least likely chance of getting caught for doing this tattoo. And before we even begin this tattoo, I got to kind of explain to you about setting up this prison tattoo equipment. Because this is very important to where this story is going, where this tattoo actually gets really messed up. Now, when you're doing a tattoo, you make a new needle for everyone. You stretch out your needle with a flame. Your needle usually comes from either a piece of wire out of a weight machine or a spring from a click pin. But you've got your fire however you've got it, whether it's a lighter or whether you've had to make your own fire in prison. But with that fire, you stretch out your needle, and you also use that fire to attempt to sanitize the needle as well. Now, when you think about doing tattoos in prison, prison is a dirty place. So trying to do tattoos and ensure that those tattoos come out good, you really need to try to pull out all the stops when it comes to sterilizing, sanitizing, making sure you've got as clean of equipment as you possibly can before you begin tattooing. And with all of that being mentioned, I have to assure you, I did everything I possibly could to ensure that this equipment was going to be as clean and as safe as I possibly could get it. We end up doing the tattoo. It literally takes like almost an entire day from start to finish. Outlining this tattoo, putting all of the shading in this tattoo, the words "A Hustler's Ambition" inside of this banner. I mean, this was a pretty extensive tattoo to be doing, especially considering this was my first tattoo that I was doing at this prison. We finally get done doing the tattoo. Again, this takes all day. Throughout the day, guards are coming into the housing unit, doing rounds, doing count. There's chow, there's rec. There's all sorts of things that you have to take into account when you're doing a tattoo while locked up, and especially a tattoo that's going to take you hours to do. I had a lookout that I had to pay as well, a guy who basically had to just sit in there all day watching and listening for the guards to come in. Anytime the guards came in, "Floor's wet. Hey yo, floor's wet." Take everything off, put everything away, sit back reading a magazine anytime those guards were coming through, acting like I'm not doing anything at all. "Hey guard, how you doing today?" Guards would leave and right back to work we went. We got this tattoo done finally without any problems. And when we were done, old Roscoe went, washed his arm off, looked at the tattoo. "Hey, old Joe, you ain't do so bad on this." And me, I'm breathing a major sigh of relief because this was a major stressful ordeal. This was my first tattoo I'm doing at this prison I've been at for 6 months, trying to get my foot in the door on a guy who pretty much thrives on chaos, and he's pretty much a live wire too. With the tattoo done and Roscoe satisfied with this work, I'm super proud of this. I'm like, damn right. Look at this tattoo I did. This is going to definitely get my name out there, and I'm going to get all sorts of tattoo work. Hell, every damn gang member at this prison is going to want old Joe to tattoo them. And if these other guys don't want to do it, if Frog doesn't want to do it, or the other guy doesn't want to do it, well, guess what? I most certainly will. So at this point, I am definitely feeling super confident. But also, I haven't gotten paid yet. In fact, those commissary items won't be passed out until Friday, and we ended up doing this tattoo on like Sunday or Monday. So I had to wait like 4 or 5 days before I was going to get paid for this work. But as it would turn out, paid I would never get, and instead what I would receive is getting my ass kicked. Because you see, by about Wednesday, old Roscoe's tattoo, this hustler's ambition with some playing cards, dice, money, and all sorts of things going on this quarter sleeve that I just did, ended up getting infected. Now again, I did take every precaution that I possibly could to try to ensure that something like this definitely didn't happen, especially on this known gang member type of prisoner here. And even when we were done with the tattoo, I told Roscoe specifically, I said, "Hey man, make sure you keep that thing clean, lightly wash it with some soap and warm water. Try not to go out there working out or doing anything where you're going to be sweating. I mean, really try to take care of this thing, because that is essentially a big ass open wound on your arm in prison. And with that, it can easily get infected." And to be honest with you, I have no idea what happened between the time that we finished that tattoo and by like Wednesday, when Roscoe's pretty much not even just like approaching me, he is approaching me, and not very friendly like either. In fact, he pulls right up on me and says, "Hey yo man, I don't know what you did, but look at my arm." And I was definitely looking at his arm. I don't know if I was more scared with the fact that here's this gang member dude pulling up on me about this tattoo that's looking bad, or about the actual tattoo itself looking as bad as it was. But with whichever one was really scaring me more, I was definitely scared. As a tattoo artist in prison, that being your hustle, your bread and butter, how you make money, how you pretty much survive while locked up. When you get a guy that you've done tattoo work on who comes up to you and shows you a fucked up tattoo that you've done, you should already be knowing right there in your head that 1, that's going to be major problems for you, and 2, you can pretty much kiss any tattoo business you were ever going to get goodbye. Because word of your bad tattooing is going to spread like wildfire throughout that prison. And nobody's really going to want to give you a chance to tattoo them after that. I tried to give Roscoe any advice I could at that point as to what he could potentially do to salvage that tattoo. But the problem is that once a tattoo is infected, and for whatever reason that it ends up getting infected, I mean, it could have been for any reason whatsoever. I'm not trying to take the blame off of myself, because I'm the one who did the tattoo, so ultimately I'm responsible for that tattoo. And believe me, I definitely ended up paying the price for this bad tattoo tattoo that I did. But again, I'm trying to tell him anything that I can think of that could potentially salvage this work that I've done. I'm trying to tell him to wash it gently, go outside, try to get some fresh air. Who knows what's floating around in the air inside of this housing unit? I know at this point there's nothing that can be done to fix this tattoo. With it being infected, the ink's going to be pushed out of the tattoo. There's probably going to be scarring left on this dude's arm because of this. And I did this tattoo. This is ultimately my fault. Roscoe tells me at this point he's not paying me for this tattoo. I don't even blame him for that. I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. You definitely don't have to pay me for this tattoo at all. I messed this up. I really hope this thing heals okay. If it does and there's not a lot of scarring, let's redo it eventually once the skin is strong enough to get tattooed again. And he basically tells me that that is definitely not gonna happen and that he should just go ahead and kick my ass right now because of this. And as he's telling me this, I'm trying to back up a little bit. I don't want to seem too aggressive, too defensive, but I am just trying to wait for this haymaker to come from virtually nowhere, and then for this beatdown to then take place. But for whatever reason, he doesn't do it then, and he just walks off. And having that happen there was worse than him actually kicking my ass right there on the spot. Because when you're locked up and you know somebody's out to get you, there is no way in hell that you're going to rest easy, you're going to be able to sleep, you're going to be looking over your shoulders 24/7 and just waiting for this attack to take place. And that is exactly what I was dealing with, knowing that all Roscoe was waiting on was the perfect opportunity where he could carry out this beatdown with the least likely chances of getting in trouble for it. And I don't know if saying that I was lucky that I didn't have to wait too long for this to take place is the right terminology to be using here, but that's really the best way I can describe it. I didn't have to wait too long, and in fact, this beatdown took place the next day when I was in the bathroom, which is where a lot of fighting happens and is not exactly the easiest area for guards to see what's going on in there. But as I was in the bathroom the next day, not only did Roscoe come in through those two swinging doors that lead into the bathroom, but his homeboy came in there with them. And these two guys came into the bathroom right as I was getting done taking a piss. I heard the swinging doors open. I had enough time to zip my pants up, and as soon as I turned around, there's Roscoe and his homeboy standing right there behind me. I can't remember which one it was who swung first, but when that swing came, I mean, when you see these two guys and you know they're ready to fight you, one of them swung on me. I ducked, tried to hit back. I think I connected with like somebody's shoulder. I mean, I don't even know, because from that point, from that duck and that swing, it was basically curl up in that fetal position and take that beat down. They beat the shit out of me inside of that bathroom. When it's all said and done, I'm beaten, I'm bloodied, I'd been punched, I'd been stomped. But when it was all said and done, I managed to stumble my ass over to the sink, wash myself up. There's other prisoners who have been coming and going while this has been taking place. I mean, I'm constantly hearing the doors swinging open, and not one single person is saying anything to me at all. I mean, it is an unspoken rule that when shit is going down inside of a prison, you keep it moving. And nobody really wants to come to the defense of a guy who's getting jumped by two pretty well-known gang members in that prison. Now, I tried to hide this the best way that I could. I mean, you're beaten up inside of a prison. You don't want to tell on anybody, but it's pretty obvious looking at somebody. You can tell they've gotten their ass kicked. So during count time, I've got my head down as the guards are going by doing count. I'm trying not to look at any guards. I'm just trying to keep my face out of the face of the police in a prison. But with the fact that I was pretty badly beaten up, I mean, eventually a guard did see what I looked like, came to me, said, "Hey, what the fuck happened to you?" Ended up taking me down to the investigator's office, and this was like days after this fight had taken place. But the investigators are asking me, "What happened to you? Tell us who did this. Who were you fighting?" And the entire time I'm just telling them, "I have no idea what you're talking about. I fell down the stairs." I end up going to the hole because I won't tell the investigators what happened. They put me under investigation. I spent something like 10 days in isolation under investigation because of this. They're constantly coming back there talking to me, trying to ask me, "Who did this to you? Tell us what happened. We can help you." And the entire time I'm thinking to myself, there is no way in hell I'm about to tell you anything about what happened to me, because if I did, I would probably end up having the biggest target on my back at this prison. After like 10 days in isolation, they finally let me out of isolation, put me in another housing unit across the yard, and I know there's other gang members in this housing unit as well, and I'm just pretty much trying to keep my head down and stay out of the way. A couple of these dudes did come up to me asking me what happened. I heard Roscoe and such beat the shit out of you for a tattoo you did over there. And I told him, I said, yeah, I did. I messed up the tattoo. Somehow it ended up getting infected and I paid for that tattoo. And really having no idea what to expect next from this, not knowing whether these dudes are going to try to extort me, not knowing whether I'm going to be paying for this tattoo pretty much for the entire time I'm at this prison. The craziest damn thing ended up happening next. One of these gang dudes asked me, we ain't got no tattoo artist in here. You trying to do some tattoo work? Well, you know, I guess I just ain't never gonna learn. Because hell yeah, what are you trying to get? And you know, for whatever the reason was that Roscoe's tattoo ended up getting infected, I ended up doing all sorts of tattoo work in this other housing unit where I was the only tattoo artist for a good little while. And I'll be damned if no other tattoos over there ended up getting infected. So I really don't know what happened with Roscoe's tattoo. Hey, look, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this prison story video, and if you did so, please leave a like and a comment letting me know what you think about old Joe taking that double team beat down inside of a prison bathroom over an infected tattoo. As always, until next time, enjoy life, the free world, never take a moment for granted, and make the most of every day. Peace!